And here we are, welcome, thanks for coming here, Speedrun, because we have to see everything in one day. We have a lot of appointments. IWA. What can I say about International Waffenausstellung? It's the biggest weapons fair in Europe. Las Vegas is even bigger than any show in the world. Of course, we have the tickets, the cool ones. As journalists, we get in. Some say George Kellgren must be high when designing weapons. Let me tell you two things. There's no cocaine at the Kaltech booth, but it's 9 in the morning and they have hard liquor. Can you show the hard liquor? So there's some truth to the legend that to make certain kinds of weapons, you have to be heavily intoxicated. All right, but there's this one they've been advertising lately, which, as you can see, became famous in the magazine Goodbye Steyr 1912, Welcome Back Steyr 1912. They also made it, by the way, with those weird calibers like the 5.7 developed by Fabrique Nationale. And this one would be loaded with a stripper clip with 20 rounds. I'm really curious. I'd really like to understand why they made this choice. It definitely simplifies things. So, them. Kaltech is famous for a series of fairly cheap manufacturing processes. It's considered a company that makes fairly inexpensive things. Actually, they are quite experienced in trying to work with polymers and do manufacturing at the lowest possible cost. I wonder if this is one of those things made just to see if it works. That's how it closes. Doctorate, meaning he hasn't been seen for 100 years. Probably a gun that doesn't have a removable magazine, but is loaded with special clips. It's really very thin. Look, I expected it to be much bigger. These are the things I really wanted to see. It's long here, but that's because the ammunition is long here, but it's surprisingly thin. You know what it looks like? Now? It's a very exaggerated analogy, but in some ways it looks like it. Some types of Colt 1911, especially when they have narrow grips, also look like you know what. The TT-33 looks like one. Well, more than the 1911, it looks like a modern T-33 on steroids. Very interesting. You can talk about the ammunition and bulletproof vests needed for those breaking in, but it actually feels surprisingly good in hand. I'll tell you, of course, trying it out at the shooting range would be a bit cooler, nicer. You know, I don't mind that idea, you know, I really don't mind it at all. Of course, finding this kind of ammunition in Italy is practically impossible. The magazine here is, in a way, it's detachable mostly, clearly. By the way, I see that the frame of the weapon, the legal part of the weapon, by the way, here in a series of prototypes, definitely has an insert. Definitely an insert to make the frame, the receiver of the weapon, modular. In the sense that this, legally speaking, is not part of the weapon, which is not such a stupid idea. There's definitely something to say about Kaltech and these companies. Not always when a company dares, it comes out with a product that makes sense, but at least daring pushes the industry forward. It might not be successful, but someone might realize that some of the solutions invented for this, and I'm talking about any other product in general, could actually make a lot of sense. So
this is the one in the enclosed one, and for the weather, it depends.
yes, very good.
And the housing is very slim. Edge art, yes.
Indeed, it's slim, better.
Than ours.
Version. This is interesting. I'd like to try it. Put it on the spoiler. I'm expecting in Fabrique Nationale 509. These are all dot sights. Have you ever thought about maybe doing holography in the future, but real holography? I mean, no. Okay, no, not yet. I was curious because all the holographic sights, like true holographics, are really expensive. Yeah, because there are only like 2 or 3 companies making them. Everything is EOTAC out attack. It's almost, what, 1,000 euros now for one. I was curious if one day we will be able to make a real holographic sight. Yes, because I think this is the one thing that's really missing on the market, because there are a lot of red dots. Manufacturers, it's true, there are many red dots, but there are few holographic sights. I mean, I should, so they're not good for pistols, but for shooting. I actually love holographic sights, and there is very little choice, and all the choices are very expensive. Because even if I have one, I know it's still expensive technology. But if I have to pay less, for example, it's still less. I mean, it's more ammunition that I can buy. It has a reticle on the first focal plane that's really amazing. Because you have a... I'll show you, but it doesn't appear well on camera. There's a quick acquisition circle with a red center dot, and when you zoom in, it enlarges since its first focal plane. And the dot it turns from a dot back into a circle. And they appear, all the dots for holdover are zoomed in for more precise shooting. Really impressed. I mean, this one here, this Aper, is the BRN 180 made by Brunox, and it's not an Armalite rifle. 15, it's an Armalite rifle. 18. As you can see, the bolt is completely different. It uses a gas system. You can see it very well here. Short stroke piston. And you might ask, but the nice thing about this one is that it's a drop-in. You just put it onto a regular Armalite rifle, 15 lower. However, since it has a different gas system, but especially because it has the spring inside here, like an Avtomat Kalashnikova, not like an Armalite rifle, 15, You can easily adjust the gas for suppressors. Unfortunately, we don't have that pleasure in Italy, but you can also easily make collapsible stocks. And I like this thing, like a survival rifle. Extreme, like for Boogaloo. This to keep in the car in case of the end of the world, in case of an asteroid impact, which lately I've been reading seems more and more likely. Day. Okay, we're at the Laugos booth here with one of their pro shooters, Stefan, who's showing us the new pistol. Laugos is very famous. To do it, we did it. The review, you can click it in the top right corner to watch it again. However, they've made a concealed carry pistol, so you've basically made a compact version from your sporting gun. Yes, so tell me about it.
So Chavara Ghazi, Logo Arms, and the new Alien Remus. It's a compact version of our previous pistols. It's perfect for everyday carry. What is new on this pistol? It's a manual safety on it, so you can make a safety on and safety off, so it's much more safe, especially for everyday carry, right? And what is really interesting about this pistol is the heavy bar on it. So also, our pistol is really light. It's about 890 grams and 90 grams, 90 grams, 90 grams. And here, new part on top, so you can use the heavy bar or you can use the system. Normally our bar doesn't move, so it's perfect for the timing of your bar. But here, if you can press this button and then you can reach the heavy bar through your bar, so it's really perfect. And nobody has used this system. No, yeah, so it's really unique. It's really unique. So that's fine. That's really, really nice shooting, really flat shooting. Amazing.
For concealed carry, aren't you worried that the trigger is too light? Because I know people, some people carry with the drum in the chamber. I keep to carry with the round in the chamber. But most people prefer the safety off. Actually, they don't like the safety on, at least in Italy. Yeah, well, I have to deal with that in Italy. You don't fear the trigger may be too good?
I don't think so. The trigger is perfect, really. It's really light. But we dropped this pistol several times from 10 meters, like from a high place, and nothing happened. So we just put it inside just the case with the primer, and no firing happened like 10 times in a row. So that's really, really safe because our safety locks the trigger bar and the sear. So that's a more important thing, that the hammer can't fall down, because if it's locking the sear, that's really safe.
Of course, that is really interesting. Another question that comes to mind, holsters. Do you have someone who makes good holsters? Do you make holsters? Can you recommend a holster? Because, you know, for carry, it's especially important to have a good concealed holster because this is not a concealed one.
In this, we have in the package, in one package with the removal, we have a concealed carry holster from G. Cole. It's an American one. Brand, and it's really perfect, really high quality.
Okay, because that's actually really interesting. I have a lot of people asking me for holsters. People are really having difficulties finding a good holster.
Which I'm even using for my concealed carry, and I really recommend it.
Really, really, that's nice. Thank you.
Very much, thank you. Thank you so much, ciao.
I'm here at Brunox, which I've always recommended to you, because sometimes you ask me which oils to use for firearms and what I use to clean them since I work at the shooting range. Why did we have it going? We've always used that one, and in Poland it's still being sold, so I'm here with the owner of Brunox. Hi, thank you very much for agreeing to speak with me. I want to discuss your products briefly, since some people are confused. When do you use the green one and when do you use the orange one? This is the number one question they ask.
Yes, basically we only have 2 lines in various containers, spray presentation bottles, whatever. The orange one is always for cleaning the barrel and all the stuff that you want to clean, so it removes thumb back all the... You have it inside the barrel, prepare the barrel, you have to wait quickly, 20, and then you inform with the Brunox simple. After that, we have the green one. For example, it's for lubrication of all moving parts on the weapon and also for corrosion protection. So for outside, we usually use the spray cans. You can spray it on the weapon. After this, you can take a dry towel and remove all the stuff, and then you have full protection against corrosion for 3 years.
That's very good. I was also looking at this product, and I've read that it's for all moving parts, also for the trigger group, also for this part exactly. But I've seen some manufacturers saying you should not use oil for the trigger parts. What do you say about that?
Lubrication is always necessary, and because you want to have your weapon over years and it should work all the time, you don't want to have any problems. So here you have a dropping bottle so you can really get control, small drops for all the moving parts. Because that means everything that is moving on the weapon and it's not sticking or anything like that, so you have no problems with it. So yeah.
As a, gun oil manufacturer, there are many, maybe you see many mistakes that people make when cleaning firearms. What is your number one advice for firearms cleaning? Because I think that maybe for me the number one is people. Do not leave the oil for 10 or 15 minutes, they say. Just clean it right away.
So, yes, of course, it's very necessary that you have to wait the time that it can work during time. Because it goes under all the stuff which is inside the barrel and loosens it so that you can remove it. So, it's very different from chemical cleaning. Chemical cleaning is very aggressive, and this is not. You don't have to worry about the surface, so you don't have any damage. So
the trick is to wait.
The trick is to wait, and so with this product you have no damage. Also on plastics or rubber and things like that. So you can use it on the whole weapon and it works. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
This is a laser rangefinder. Oh, so it can work, for example, like you see, it's a the mirror and it will change the direction. Of course,
This is really interesting. Yeah, you can see this is really, really, really original.
it's very
Very small, yeah. Once there was a beautiful sushi place. Was there a place like that that brought it to you? Basami was annoying, he talked. So the machines in front of me won't talk unless you ask them. How dare you speak my sacred language, I who am a god to you, we who created you, Bibi Bob, stay quiet. We know very well that in Italy we have excellent producers and suppliers of historical weapons, and here we have another musket that absolutely, in terms of category, we should find. So tell us about this then.
Let's start from the fact that it hasn't been seen on the market for 270 years. A Fiorentina mechanism. In fact, the Fiorentina was created around 1630 more or less as a mechanism. It's a transition between the wheel and a flintlock. A modern rifle, less expensive, certainly effective, and so on. It was mainly used by the cavalry or by infantrymen. We can say it's lighter and more manageable. Without the use, in fact, of the match.
This is a major issue and has been one historically as well.
Exactly what does the mechanism consist of? The mechanism is basically separate, meaning the hammer is not connected. From the breech cover, breech cover, we load the primer into the breech cover. You could either arm the mechanism or not, so you can walk around loaded with the breech cover closed without any problem, just like when it's armed, you're always safe. Because the hammer is not cocked. Of course, the moment I cock the hammer, the rifle is armed and it will fire.
Fantastic, beautiful.
And it's the exact pair, a spitting image of the original. In this case, barrel to orders, conical with a 17th century column joint and muzzle ornament. I also mentioned reinforcement.
Where would we have seen a weapon like this used? Why did you say inside the castle of Brescia?
30 years war, it's a 30 years war. And then actually the model was used by cavalry until 1680 good. They were armed with companies hired by the lords pretty much everywhere. We were talking about it earlier with another supplier. Even in Valletta they were present. Actually, yes. Because there were many Italians present and a lot of weapons were circulating.
So if you have a problem with 8 hands,
there's no problem.
We'll solve it, and they're already in production. So this is brand new, right? This.
Playable, this is available.
The pre-order, okay.
But we still have to define the production chain because it's really the first piece, but it's still available to order. This can absolutely be done. The timing is a bit long. We're talking about 6 to 8 months, but let's say it's a big innovation. If you want, you can see that it's much lighter, very light. Light, extremely light. There were 2 types of these weapons. In fact, we're also making the other version, which is the cheek version, so it doesn't rest the stock on the shoulder, but it rests on the cheek.
Like the Japanese?
Like actually the Japanese who adopted it.
Belize.
This is really very peculiar.
But it's very light.
It's very interesting.
It's surprisingly light for a weapon.
Then the fact that it has a conical barrel, because it's not milled parallel, but it's conical, so the weight is concentrated at the breech.
You could almost use it with one hand. Maybe that's just me as a big guy.
The cheek rest was definitely a very beautiful thing.
When they're ready, I would be immensely pleased to try them out.
We will absolutely try them. It will be a fantastic pleasure. Thank you.
Sorry. Here, clinical. Damn it, if you put your rifle with your mark at IWA 2025 and you don't give me a bolt because there's no bolt handle. How the hell am I supposed to test the trigger? I don't care. The message needs to be clear because here my hand is itching. I want to test the trigger. No, Kilner, damn it. Italian companies. They give this out at the CZ booth. Learn how to do marketing, learn. This was definitely a very interesting fair for me, and I'll also tell you what made it different from, for example, fairs like Laugos. The thing I really liked, and that increased the quality of this fair, is that it was actually behind closed doors. To be accredited to get in here in Nuremberg at the fair center, you had to prove that you were a professional in the field. This may have excluded the passerby a bit, let's say the casual visitor of the fair, but it allowed me, as I saw earlier, and also allowed many other people, to make important acquaintances and contacts. I can tell you that I spoke with very interesting people, both on camera and off camera. And some of the things I saw here today at this fair, I hope to show you soon on the channel. I really enjoyed it. I'm sorry I wasn't at Laugos. I even met some of you here, but there will be other times from me. That's all for today, and with us, as always, see you next time. So you were saying the tier list of the perfect number of beers, because what's the perfect number of beers to drink then? In 5th place.